When we think about studying, it's easy to assume that its purpose is simply to memorize a bunch of facts or concepts. You know, just take in the information and regurgitate it when needed. But that's not really the heart of studying. At its core, studying is about exploring the unknown, diving into the things we don't fully understand yet, and seeking answers that might not be immediately obvious. It's about expanding our knowledge, challenging what we think we know, and finding clarity in areas that are a bit murky. Growth in knowledge is a lot like solving a complex puzzle. When you first start, you might have a couple of pieces, maybe even a lot of pieces, but you're still far from seeing the full picture. Over time, as you connect those pieces and make sense of what you're working with, the image becomes clearer. It's not just about gathering facts, it's about honing your ability to think critically, to question what you know, and to approach things that are still mysteries. It's a process of refinement, not just accumulation. Think about the study of ancient beliefs and systems, like the planetary theology of ancient civilizations. We're not talking about simply finding concrete answers to questions we have. Because let's face it, we don't have all the answers. There's a lot that's still uncertain, and we might never fully fill in all the gaps. But that's okay. Even with the missing pieces, we have enough to start forming educated guesses, connecting dots, and finding patterns that weren't clear before. Sometimes that's all we can do, make reasonable inferences and see where they take us. The challenge here is that ancient peoples didn't think the way we do today. They didn't rely on the same scientific methods or logical reasoning processes that we use. A lot of their knowledge wasn't based on empirical science, but more on a kind of intuitive understanding of the world around them. So, when we try to understand their perspective, we're not just studying their words or beliefs. We're trying to look through a completely different lens. And, let's be real, that's not always easy to do. On top of all that, there's this massive time gap between us and them. So many records that could help us understand their thoughts more clearly have been lost to time or destroyed, and even the languages they spoke aren't always easy for us to interpret. That's where things get tricky. We're left with fragments, with bits and pieces of their knowledge, and we have to tread carefully, keeping in mind that there are huge limitations in what we can actually know. But, even with all this uncertainty, there's still enough evidence for us to make some reasonable conclusions about certain aspects of their belief systems. By studying what we have, symbols, texts, ancient artifacts, and so on, we can start to get a clearer idea of how these civilizations saw the world. We might not have all the details, and we might never have all the answers, but we can still make connections and uncover ideas that weren't so obvious before. It's like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces. The image might not be complete, but we can still appreciate the picture we have. What's interesting, though, is that these ancient systems weren't static. They were constantly evolving and adapting as people gained new insights. And while we may not always agree with how they thought, there's something undeniably fascinating about their ability to tap into a deeper, almost intuitive understanding of the world. They weren't just compiling knowledge, they were developing systems of thought that shaped their entire way of life. Take the number 7, for instance. Why was this number so important across so many ancient cultures? You see it everywhere, from Egypt to Greece, Persia to China. 7 was a number that appeared in religion, in astronomy, and in symbolism. It wasn't just a random number. It had deep spiritual and cosmic significance. And interestingly, the number 7 was almost always tied to 7 deities, each of which was linked to one of the 7 wandering celestial bodies, what we now know as the planets. We're talking about the 7 classical planets here, the 5 visible planets, plus the sun and the moon. These planets were more than just astronomical objects to ancient people. They were seen as powerful celestial bodies with profound influence over human affairs, and each planet had a corresponding deity that governed its influence over the world. You had the Egyptian gods, the Greek gods, the gods of Babylon. Each one had their own set of 7 gods or deities, connected to the 7 planets. But here's the thing. Even though these cultures had different names for their gods and deities, their symbols, powers, and roles were strikingly similar. And that's important because it suggests that, despite the cultural differences, there was some kind of universal understanding, or at least an intuitive understanding that crossed geographical and cultural boundaries. These ancient systems didn't just pop up independently. They were all connected by similar ideas that were central to their view of the world. The number 7 wasn't just some abstract concept either. It had practical and mystical significance. For example, in the ancient Chinese tradition, there were 7 primary gods, but only 5 of them were widely recognized. The other 2 were kept more secret, hidden away from the general populace, representing a more mysterious, elusive aspect of the divine. This idea of secrecy isn't unique to Chinese tradition either. It shows up in other belief systems too. In Buddhism, there were 7 great eternal powers, but only 5 were ever fully acknowledged in public teachings. Similarly, in the Hebrew Kabbalah, there are references to 7 books that Moses supposedly wrote. But only 5 are considered publicly sacred. The other 2 are thought to be lost, shrouded in mystery. This secrecy surrounding knowledge, and especially sacred knowledge, is a theme that runs through many ancient systems. But this concept of 7 goes even deeper. Not only was it associated with celestial bodies and deities, but the number 7 also had deep connections to the human experience. Some ancient systems linked the 7 planets to various aspects of the human body and soul. For instance, there's the idea that the human soul itself is divided into 7 parts, with each part corresponding to one of the planets. This 7-fold structure was seen as a reflection of cosmic order, a mirror of the greater universe within the individual. The number 7 also appeared in music, in the arts, and in other forms of human expression. For example, in ancient Greece there were 7 musical modes, 7 strings on a lyre, and 7 basic musical scales. The number 7 seemed to be a kind of key, a universal principle that helped explain everything from the movements of the planets to the patterns in music. It was like a cosmic code, and understanding it was thought to bring one closer to understanding the mysteries of existence. Now, let's take a step back and consider the larger implications of this idea. The number 7, it seems, wasn't just a number, it was a symbol that tied together everything: the celestial, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. And as we look deeper into these ancient systems, we begin to see just how interconnected everything was in their worldview. It wasn't just about worshiping the planets. It was about aligning oneself with cosmic forces, with a greater order that governed both the universe and the human soul. Now, let's dive into the connection between these ancient beliefs and the human body, because this is where things get even more interesting. The planets weren't just symbols or gods to the ancient peoples. They were representations of deeper, cosmic forces that had a direct impact on human life. There's this fascinating idea that the 7 planets were linked to different parts of the human body, almost like each planet represented a unique aspect of human existence. This goes beyond astrology. It's about the way ancient cultures saw the body as a reflection of the cosmos. In these systems, the human body wasn't just a physical vessel. It was a microcosm of the larger universe, an embodied reflection of the cosmic order. This idea of the body as a reflection of the universe isn't just some poetic metaphor either. It was a real, tangible belief that shaped how people viewed their health, their purpose, and their connection to the world around them. So, how does this connection play out? Well, let's take a look at the planets and their associations with specific parts of the human body. For example, the sun was often associated with the heart, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The sun, the center of our solar system, represents life and vitality, and the heart is literally the center of the human body, the organ that pumps life-given blood throughout the system. There's a direct correspondence there between the sun's life-given energy and the heart's central role in maintaining life. Similarly, the moon, which governs cycles of time and is closely linked to emotions, was often associated with the mind or the emotional body. The moon is reflective, constantly shifting and changing, much like our moods and emotions. The ancient Egyptians, for instance, associated the moon with Isis, the goddess of life and fertility, who also represented the emotional and intuitive aspects of life. The moon's influence on the body was seen as more subtle, more internal, connected to our inner world. Now, take Venus. Venus, the planet of love and beauty, was often linked to the kidneys and the reproductive system. This makes sense if you consider Venus as the embodiment of beauty, harmony, and sensuality, things that are closely tied to the body's more physical, sensory experiences. In ancient Egyptian teachings, Venus was associated with the goddess Hathor, who represented love, music, and fertility, concepts deeply intertwined with human emotions and the body's sensual expressions. Mars, the warrior god, was often linked to the muscles and bones, particularly the physical strength and stamina of the body. Mars, as the god of war, symbolizes power, aggression, and action, so it's no surprise that he was associated with the physical and structural aspects of the body, especially those that require strength and force. His influence was seen as something that could both empower and challenge the body, motivating individuals to take action and exert strength. Jupiter, the largest planet, was connected to the liver and the overall health of the body. The liver is a crucial organ involved in detoxification and metabolism, which are essential for maintaining physical well-being. Jupiter, as the planet of expansion, growth, and wisdom, represented the body's ability to process and grow, both physically and mentally. In many ways, Jupiter was seen as a force that nurtured the body, helping it grow and thrive, just as he nurtured the soul with wisdom and understanding. Saturn, the planet of discipline, structure, and limitation, was associated with the bones, specifically the skeletal system. Saturn is often seen as a more restrictive and rigid force, but also one that provides the structure necessary for life. The bones are the body's foundational support, and just like Saturn, they provide a solid base for all the other systems to function. Without bones, without structure, the body can't exist in the way we know it. So, as you can see, the planets weren't just floating around in the sky to the ancients. They were part of an intricate, interconnected system that mirrored the human body. this wasn't just symbolic thinking. For many ancient cultures, this was a deeply held belief about the way the universe and the body were linked, how the cosmic order played out in the smallest details of human existence. But there's more. This connection between the cosmos and the human body isn't just something that was thought about in the past. If we look at modern spiritual systems like astrology or even practices like yoga and meditation, we still see echoes of this ancient idea. The idea of the chakras, for example, is essentially an extension of the belief that the body's energy centers mirror the celestial forces. Each of the 7 chakras corresponds to a different planet, and each one governs a different aspect of our physical and spiritual well-being. The heart chakra, for instance, is linked to the sun, representing love and vitality, just like the sun's role in the solar system. This connection is also seen in modern practices like astrology. The ancient Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians all believed that the position of the planets at the time of birth had a profound influence on a person's character, emotions, and even health. Even today, people continue to use astrology to gain insights into their lives. While it's not a science in the traditional sense, astrology still offers a way of understanding how the cosmic forces might shape our personalities, relationships, and experiences. But what's fascinating is that these ancient systems weren't just about mapping the stars or predicting the future. They were also about understanding the deep, universal principles that govern the human experience. In a way, the study of the planets and their influence on the body and soul was a way of tapping into the cosmic flow, aligning oneself with the rhythms of the universe. So, how does all of this connect to the number 7? Well, it's not just that the number 7 represents these 7 planets. It's that 7, as a number, was seen as the key to unlocking the deeper mysteries of the universe. 7 was the number of cosmic order, the number of completion and balance. Whether we're talking about the 7 days of the week, the 7 classical planets, or the 7 parts of the human soul, the number 7 held a sacred, universal significance. It was the key to understanding the connection between the microcosm, the human body, and the macrocosm, the universe. And it wasn't just a number for the ancient people. It's still a number that we hold dear today. From the 7 days of the week to the 7 wonders of the world, the number 7 continues to be a symbol of harmony, balance, and the cosmic order. It's as if this ancient wisdom, this understanding of the interconnectedness between the body, the soul, and the universe, is still embedded in our collective consciousness, waiting to be rediscovered. So, let's now look at how these ancient ideas about the number 7, the planets, and their influence on the human body can still be relevant in our lives today. The fascinating part is that even though we live in an era dominated by modern science, technology, and empirical data, these ancient teachings offer insights that are more timeless than we might realize. They give us a framework for understanding how we're connected to the larger cosmos and how the cosmic forces might still be influencing us in ways we don't fully grasp yet. One of the ways these ancient systems continue to resonate with us is through the practice of astrology. While astrology may not be embraced by mainstream science, it still plays a significant role in how many people understand themselves, their relationships, and their place in the world. If you look at a birth chart, you'll see that the positions of the planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, and the Moon, are said to influence different aspects of your personality, emotions, and even your fate. This modern-day astrology echoes the ancient belief that the positions and movements of these celestial bodies have a profound impact on our lives. Astrology, much like the ancient systems, gives us a way to understand our connection to the universe. It's a map of sorts that shows how the energies of the planets influence us on both a personal and universal level. And while the scientific community may debate the validity of astrology, the very fact that it continues to be a part of human culture suggests that there's something to it, a deep, almost intuitive understanding that connects us to something greater than ourselves. But astrology isn't the only way these ancient ideas are still alive today. And if you look at spiritual practices like yoga and meditation, you'll find that they also draw from the same ancient systems of thought. Take the chakras, for example. These energy centers, which correspond to different parts of the body and different planetary influences, are central to both yoga and meditation practices. The belief is that by balancing and aligning these energy centers, we can tap into a deeper level of awareness and harmony with the universe. The 7 chakras mirror the 7 planets, and each chakra is associated with a different planet and its influence over our lives. Just as the ancients believed that the planets influence the body and soul, modern spiritual practices suggest that by working with these energies, we can achieve a higher state of consciousness. It's a fascinating intersection between ancient wisdom and modern spiritual practices, and it shows how these ancient teachings have survived and adapted to the world we live in today. The deeper message here, though, is that we are not isolated from the universe. Whether we're looking at astrology, spiritual practices, or even the ancient teachings about the connection between the planets and the human body, the central idea is the same. We are all interconnected with the larger cosmic system. The ancient people understood this intuitively, and it's a perspective that modern humanity is still trying to integrate into our understanding of the world. We're part of something bigger, something that extends beyond our individual lives and connects us to the stars. Now, when we think about our place in the universe, it's easy to feel small or insignificant. The universe is vast, and we're just one tiny speck in the grand scheme of things. But that's where these ancient teachings come in. They remind us that while we may be small, we're also part of something vast and beautiful. The ancient systems of thought, whether in Egypt, Greece, China, or the Hebrew traditions, all understood that the universe and the human soul are deeply interconnected. We are not separate from the cosmic order. We are a reflection of it. And the more we understand these connections, the more we can align ourselves with the forces of the universe, bringing balance and harmony into our lives. Whether we do that through astrology, meditation, or just by becoming more aware of the cosmic patterns that shape our lives, there's something deeply meaningful in recognizing that we're part of a larger cosmic dance. The number 7, with its connection to the planets and the human body, is just one example of how these ancient systems of thought continue to shape our modern understanding. Whether it's through the chakra system, astrology, or even our belief in the interconnectedness of all things, the ancient wisdom about 7 remains a powerful and enduring symbol of the balance and order that governs the universe. In the end, what these ancient teachings show us is that the pursuit of knowledge isn't just about facts and figures, it's about connecting the dots, uncovering the deeper truths, and recognizing that there's a greater order at work in the universe. Even in a world where science and technology dominate, these ancient systems remind us that there's still so much more to discover, and that the answers we seek are often already within us. As we continue to explore the mysteries of life, we can find value in these ancient teachings, not just as relics of the past, but as ways to deepen our understanding of ourselves, our place in the universe, and the cosmic forces that shape our existence. Whether we're studying the planets, meditating on the chakras, or simply reflecting on the interconnectedness of all things, we're engaging in the same quest for understanding that the ancients pursued. And in that quest, we find a deeper connection to the world around us and to the vast, mysterious cosmos that continues to shape our lives. So, the next time you look up at the stars, or consider the number 7 in your own life, remember that there's more to it than meets the eye. It's not just a number or a random celestial body. It's a key to unlocking the deeper mysteries of existence. And just like the ancient peoples did, we too can use these cosmic symbols to help us navigate the complexities of our own lives.